Hello, Queens. This is your girl, Coco Moore. Welcome to my very first episode of Queen's Corner. In this episode, we are going to be talking about toxic relationships. We'll be discussing a series of things that deal with mental health awareness, positivity, past trauma, how to heal, etc. So I'll start with my own personal backstory of how I wanted to, or what influenced me to do this podcast. So I'll start with, my own experience of, dealing with things the past, I want to say 3-4 years, having relationships with people that weren't necessarily benefiting me in a positive way, or just looking at things from a different perspective, trying to figure out, navigate, where I wanted to go, how I wanted to just start my platform and encourage other people, because I believe that, once you get through your own storm, you're able to go back and see things a little bit more clearly. Things are really better in that perspective. You can't really see what's going on once you're in the middle of the storm, but when you get out, things start to click, things start to make more sense. So I wanted to just unravel or unleash all of the wisdom and knowledge, and just have a little entertainment along with it, just to help engage you guys. Or I know I've seen a lot of women especially talk about relationships that were toxic, or growing up in a household, having their feelings not validated, or their emotions not validated, with either be like a family member, or just those close to them, or maybe or any type of relationship. It has been more prevalent as I've seen. I'm a fan of TikTok because I just love to laugh. So I've been seeing more and more TikTokers discussing how they've been struggling with having relationships with people who just don't seem to really appreciate them as an individual. So I wanted to kind of dive into that topic of just what really a toxic relationship is, because I don't think some of us know, but I just have this feeling that not all of us are aware of someone who is narcissistic, manipulative, can be combative for no apparent reason, just bad vibes altogether. And I wanted to kind of discuss that and see how we can move forward. Especially, I've noticed, me personally, I don't know about anybody else, but in the African American community, there seems to be this just lost connection between daughters and mothers, or sisters and siblings, just in general. Just I believe it's more prevalent with African American women, and their relationship with their mothers. But I also believe that it could be with just anyone, or maybe you're just attracting people who are not necessarily supportive of you growing or moving forward. Because a lot of times, when we try to, I guess, want to change the narrative about what we say about ourselves, or try to move past like whatever trauma happened to us, there's always going to be some people that are around you that say, hey, remember when you did this, that, and the other. And it's like, whoa, like, dude, I'm trying to have a good day. Where's the random conversation coming from where you're pulling up things that, are not even relevant to today. So there's a lot of that happening, just having bad friendships, having bad relationships. And so I kind of wanted to get a grasp on that and actually, kind of want to define what it is to be, or what a toxic relationship is. So I'll start with my own personal story. Me growing up, I've never felt easy having a relationship with my family, particularly my mother. I just felt as if she never created that safe space for me to be vulnerable, to feel safe for me to express how I felt. Because I find that a lot of times, especially in our community, it was always, you have nothing to complain about. Like, why are you crying? You have no bills to pay. Or, there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. You're just making it up. Like, get over it. But the real bottom line is that there actually is something going on. We may not have been able to pinpoint it or specifically define what it was, but we always knew that there was something there. Well, I can't say we as if, because not everybody went through that same experience, but I can say me personally, I was never able to actually figure out what the problem was that I was feeling. And I can never get anyone to really validate, what I was going through. It was always like, whatever happens in our house stays in our house. Whatever happened, just sweep it underneath the rug. Let's pretend like it never happened. When in reality, those things that get swept underneath the rug actually begin to peek through, and eventually you trip over it. Because if you keep moving, you're just ignoring it, putting it to the side, trying to, shove those feelings down. At one point, when everything slows down, you're stuck with yourself and your feelings. And either you go into deep depression or you just start lashing out, which is, I think, is another form of depression, which is you're always angry, you're always just really not in the mood to be around people or motivated to do anything. You just feel stuck, like there's this cloud just hanging over you. So I kind of wanted to address that. Like, if there's anyone out there that feels that way, you're not by yourself. You're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not imagining things. If you feel as though you've been looked down upon because you're going through something that is hindering you, or something that happened, something traumatic that is keeping you from actually healing properly, moving forward, I just want to address that and say that you are not by yourself. Because a lot of times what happens is, when we go through things, we feel like it's just us. Like, no one else is experiencing those feelings, or, has experienced that type of trauma. But that we feel as though like we're the only ones in the world. And so it can feel like that, like we're in our own bubble, until someone reaches out and say, hey, you know what? You're not by yourself. And if you have expressed that to anyone, talks about it, and they're not supportive of you, those are not the type of people you should be around. I just want to make that clear, because anyone that is not trying to hear you out, or just, ignores the signs that you're giving, or, just trying to, I guess, dismiss or be passive about it. Because we have a lot of people that, like, oh, okay, like, I hear you, but they don't want to really discuss it. They don't want to talk about it with you, because they figure like, oh, well, I didn't go through that, so maybe you're just making it up, or maybe, you're just over exaggerating, or maybe, it's just in your head and you just need to get over it, and, let bygones be bygones. And yes, to a certain extent, we do need to, at some point, heal and be able to forgive those that, that put us in that position or made us go through that trauma. Because forgiveness to me is not for the other person, it's for yourself. Because anytime that you're stuck, you are limiting your ability to move forward or to do things that that hinders you from seeing anything else besides that fog, that cloud that's hanging over your head. So I just wanted to let my listeners know that you really are not by yourself. God is there for you. The enemy will make you feel like you're isolated, that what you're feeling doesn't matter, because God does care about our feelings. He cares about what's on our heart. So whatever is concerning you concerns him. And just know that, you don't have to constantly defend yourself against people that don't really believe you, that don't know what's going on or whatever you went through, because you just don't. And you're wasting your breath, you're wasting your time. But just know that, whatever storm you go through or have went through, and you made it out or trying to survive and make it through the day, there's always, I heard the saying, when it rains and there's storm clouds everywhere, the sun is still there. It doesn't go anywhere. Just because you can't see the sun doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So not all storms last. There's going to be days where you feel like, you're overwhelmed, or you feel like there's nothing else that you can do, or you feel like your voice just doesn't matter. You do matter. You matter to God. You matter to those that you could potentially be helping once you get out of the storm. Because once you go through that open door of forgiveness, go through that open door of healing, you're leaving it open for someone else to go through and saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, I understand you, you're going to get through this. But anyways, aside from that, I just want to take the moment to discuss what a toxic relationship is. And I have wrote down the definition and also the signs of what a toxic relationship looks like. And I'll probably just break it down a little bit more thoroughly so that people can understand. But the pattern behavior of being undermined is one of the signs of a toxic relationship. Like I said, not acknowledging, your feelings, or not understanding, or not having any empathy. Because some people, they only want to see the logic side of the situation. They never want to feel what you're expressing to them. It's more like, oh, okay, well, that whatever they did or said or whatever, it made sense or whatever. Just, just push through it. You'll get through it, whatever. It's the passiveness, the lack of empathy, any verbal, emotional, or physical abuse. No one should be talking down to you, demeaning you, make you, gaslighting you, as they say these days, gaslighting, or putting their hands on you, or any kind of form that is not necessary or appropriate. It's just not. Under any circumstances should anyone be putting their hands on anyone. Because if you're in a relationship right now and someone is, they're joking, whatever, you guys kind of get in a bit of a fight or whatever, and they kind of hit you, but not hard, but kind of like, they just kind of like give you like a little like slap on the shoulder or like in the face and be like, whatever, like, shut up. Listen to me. If anyone does that to you, please be warned. that they will do it again, but they will probably do it a little bit more forcefully. That is the first red flag that you should leave a relationship. If anyone attempts or has put their hands on you, that is not love. That is called control. That is called manipulation. That is called instilling fear inside of you to make sure that whatever you say or do, you now have to walk on eggshells around them because you might upset them, and that may flare up a argument or disagreement resulting in someone putting their hands on you. That is never okay. Another sign of toxic relationship: do they sabotage you? Do they try to, for instance, if you have a opportunity, do they try to talk you out of it? Do they do things to manipulate the situation? Like you have oh honey, like I have a new job, and this and that, whatever, and I have a pay raise or whatnot, and they go along and say, well, what about me? What am I supposed to do? Who's going to do this, that, and the other? Who's going to take care of this? If anyone is in agreement with what you're doing and they see your growth, your progress, they will always try to, in a healthy relationship, they will always try to work with you. But in a toxic relationship, if you have someone that's constantly pulling you down, constantly trying to condemn you for trying to do something better about your life, those are people you should not be around. Again, please note, any of these signs or symptoms in a toxic relationship, that is not healthy for you. Because what will happen is, if you sit in that long enough, it becomes part of you. You get poisoned. And it's once you get that poison in you, it is hard to get it out. It will make you sick. You will start to get depressed. You will start to feel like everyone and everything's against you because you're in that environment. Like nothing you say or do is ever good enough for those people, because it's always how to cater to them, how to please them, how to make sure you don't, it's like they don't want you to have your own personal opinion. And we all are entitled to our own opinions. That's fine. But however, you don't want to be the person where you're just a yes person. You're always, you don't want to be that person where you don't ever want to try to upset anyone. So you just go along and agree with whatever the crowd is saying, whatever it is that, everyone wants you to do. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. No. You have your opinion. You have your own ideas. That's what makes you an individual. You have the freedom, the liberty to be your own person that God has created you to be, because we are all individuals. He never made any of us the same. We're all different. There is no carbon copy. We're all original. Even if you were your own twin, or if you had a twin, you and your twin are still individual people. You're not the same. There can never be another person like you. So another sign of a toxic relationship, I will have to say, is bullying. Does that person bully you? Do they antagonize you? Do they make fun of things that you have a personal opinion about? Or make fun of something that, like, for instance, if you have like a dream that you're trying to accomplish or a goal, and you're saying, hey, like, you go to those people, you're like, oh, like, maybe like 6 months, a year or so, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to create a whatever have you, a project, whatever it is that you want to do. And they are constantly oh, how are you going to do that? How's that going to get done? Are you sure you're the person the job wants? Are you, you don't even have enough, what does it say? Like courage or whatever it is that they're trying to, put on you or demean you or look down on you and just say, oh, like, oh gosh, like you're trying to do that? Okay, whatever. No, you can do it. That is a sign of bullying. You should never bully anyone because they are different than you or want to do something that they feel will help them or help other people. Like, are they making fun of the way you dress or the way you wear your hair, or are they making fun of your voice or your body? Especially, it's a lot of that going on where people are just picking on other people for their body image, especially when it comes to family members. Like, oh, I see why you can't never have a date. Like, look at the way you dress, or look at, you're funny looking, you're not attractive, or your personality is so boring. Like, what that is not healthy for anyone. And I feel bad for anyone that has happened to, because I know what it feels like, just being picked on for every little thing. And then, for me, when I was growing up, I had bullies. I got picked on in 5th and 6th grade. I never was able to defend myself because at home, I felt like I was being bullied by my mother, but I didn't really know I didn't know that was actually happening to me until I got a lot older. And I had to realize, like, wow, like, I was never able to defend myself because my very first bully I felt was by my own family members. So how can I defend myself against anyone else outside of my home? Because that, to me, was saying, if they can do it and get away with it, then anybody else could. And I didn't have a say in it. So I felt powerless. Never allow anyone else to take your power away. If you have to step aside, step back, remove yourself from the situation that you feel will make you a lot better, that will give you peace, I want to say go ahead and do it, because it has helped me. I had to block people. I had to end friendships. I had to step back or, give people distance and reach out, but not really be very cordial with it. Don't be rude. Don't shade anyone. Don't talk about anyone, but do it. Distance yourself respectively. I'm sorry. You will see a difference. You will see how they react, because anyone that wants to have power control over you, they will try anything to keep you in their clutches. They'll all of a sudden they'll say nice things about you. Oh, you're doing wonderful. I'm so proud of you. Look at what you're doing. You feel accomplished. And then the next minute they're bashing you, talking down on you, make you feel worthless. That's a cycle. That is manipulation. Don't ever fall for that. So until you see changes, because sometimes people have to distance themselves from other people that are toxic in order to see really what's going on from the outside. So I would encourage anyone that is going through that, take a step back, do some evaluation, rethink whatever it is that's going on. If you think it's in your head, I will still say just take a step back. Just observe people's actions, what they say, what they do when you're not in their presence for a minute, versus when you're in their face all the time. Not literally, but I want to say around them, in their presence. Take a step back and see how they are reacting to that. And if they change their behavior, I say okay, I would say approach that lightly, because it takes a minute for people to change their behavior. It doesn't happen overnight. If they're willing to change, then okay, just reel it in a little bit slowly, but until they can make that turnaround. But if you have people that are not really change, or they're like, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting funny? You're not yourself like you used to be. No, it's because I'm realizing that being around you is really what's making me sick. So I have to be healthy and distance myself so that way I can feel like I'm not going insane, like I'm not imagining what's going on, because we have call a thing a thing, call it what it is. So those are the patterns, the behaviors of a toxic relationship. It's never okay for anyone to make you feel less than. We are all equal in the eyes of God. All of us are equal. So there is no one more important than anyone else. All of us are important. All of us have a role. We have gifts, we have talents, we have abilities that God wants us to use, and those are so important to Him, because all of us have a destiny. All of us have purpose. And so you never want to be around people that just constantly just make you feel like you don't have a purpose in life, because the enemy will use those people to make sure that you stay stuck. And you never want that to happen. I remember when I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to do after or before I graduated high school, because no one ever asked me. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know really what my purpose was until, I want to say, recently. When I thought I knew what my purpose was, I don't think that was it. I want to say all that I went through or gone through has really helped me to unleash those things that God had anointed me to do. And I felt like this was one of them. And I said, you know what, if this is going to be my platform, I want to make sure that I do this properly, and I do this to encourage other people, other women, especially, because I feel like, when women get together and we power each other, we can really make a difference. And so I really want to encourage women, because I feel like there's so many of us that are going through these toxic relationships, and we don't realize that we're in it until it's too late, or until we really take a step back and observe some things. And I'm finding more and more that even younger women, I have a heart out for young girls who say that they have a problem with just being themselves. And that hurts me, because I know what that felt like. I know what it is to be a prisoner in your own home, in your own family, to not know who you are or where you're going. It literally makes you depressed. And before I knew what depression was, I felt as if something was wrong with me. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go hang out with anyone. I didn't want to go outside. I had thoughts of suicide. I wanted to harm myself, even though I didn't. The only reason why I didn't do any of those things is because I didn't have enough courage to do it, and I knew it would piss my mom off, so I just didn't do it. But I know there's other girls out there that are probably, they have thought about it and have done it. And so I just want to do this so that way, there's more women out there that can be healed, that can be delivered. There is some of you, or most of you, might be familiar with the story about the woman with the issue of the blood. And then it talks about the girl who died. The father went to Jesus, and he was like, hey, like, my daughter, she's dying. She needs help. She's only 12 years old. And so I remember God was showing me that scripture. of how Jesus went in where the girl was. But before, she got up, he was telling other people, that were around him that kind of doubted that he can bring her back to life. Like, he was like, no, like, all of you stand outside. I'm only going to bring the people that believe that what I can do, I'm only going to bring them in as a witness to show that I have resurrecting power. So anything that you feel that is dead, if you feel like your dreams are dead, or you feel like any vision that God has given you, or you felt like your talents or your gifts were wasted, they were not. God always has a purpose and a plan for your life. He always has a vision. He didn't just create you just to be here on earth and just so you can just exist and be alive. No, he created you for a very purpose. And he wants to make sure that it is fulfilled. So I want to make sure that on this platform, I am able to reach as many women as I can to let them know that whatever God has put in you, it will manifest, it will come out. Because that is my prayer for you guys, to know and believe that whatever it is that God has put in you, it will be done. It will come out. It will manifest. God is not a liar. So whatever it is that he's equipped you with, that is enough. You have everything you need that God has given you. He has given you the talents, the gifts, the vision, the anointing, whatever it is that he's equipped you with. You are more than enough. Don't ever let anyone tell you that, whatever you're doing is a waste. And even if it doesn't work out the way you thought it would work out, God has something better for you. So never doubt that. Never, stop believing that whatever it is that God wants you to accomplish, whatever it is that you set your mind to, you can do it. And with that being said, I'm going to take a pause for a minute. And I'm going to have a segment called Queenness or Queen Not. So in this segment, I kind of just address some things, that go on in, the news, daily news or whatever, just so I can get an opinion from you guys, or see if anyone else is thinking the same thing I'm thinking, or maybe something different. You might have a different opinion. But I'm going to start off with this story. As many of you know, there is a issue with people getting vaccinated and people not getting vaccinated. So I just want to kind of quickly discuss that in this segment. What do you guys think? Do you think it is queenness to tell someone else to get vaccinated in order to protect those around them and their own children, or maybe themselves? Or do you think it's queen not to impose your own personal opinion? Because right now, as we see on the news, there are more and more people, either they're vaccinated or not vaccinated. They're getting sick and beds are filling up quickly. And the virus, those are infected, it's on the rise. A lot more than it should be, but, it's becoming more and more of a hazard. My personal opinion is that, I don't have a right to tell someone to get vaccinated or not vaccinated, but I do feel as though it is my personal duty to make sure that I do whatever it is to not only protect myself, but protect other people, because you have some people out there that are immunocompromised. I'm sorry. That, in other words, their immunity is basically not as healthy as it should be. So if I have asymptomatic problems or symptoms, and I pass it on to someone that does not have the capacity to be able to recover quickly, I'm putting them at risk. Or I'm putting, children who have not been vaccinated, I'm putting them at risk as well. So I know, especially in the Christian community, we are so cautious about doing anything that is related to, what the government tells us. And that's understandable. But at the same time, we don't want to be, at the end of the day, I think we should just trust God. And, I prayed about my vaccination before I've taken mine. And I got peace about it. And I've been fine ever since. So, I don't tell other people they should, but I just encourage. So I just want to, see what you guys think is the queen-not or queen-ness. Another story that I have come across is with this whole conflict over the U.S. troops being withdrawn from Afghanistan. Now, my personal opinion is, they've been there for 20 years. So we can't always fight everyone's battles. At the end of the day, either you stand up and fight for your country, or you just let the terrorists take over. So I know some people feel as though it was necessary that we do that, and some people may feel the opposite. They may have felt that we should have stayed and at least helped the women. I think it was, my personal opinion, I think it was queenness, meaning that it was necessary for us to withdraw. I feel bad for the women and the girls that are there, because they have no rights. They're not protected. They're the men in their family right now, they can't even protect them. So it's like living in terror all over again, being in prison all over again. I think it was necessary, but like I said before, other people may have their own different opinions. So I'll just go ahead and say that was queenness, in my opinion, to go ahead and just gracefully bow out. Some people may say that was not a graceful exit, that they should have organized that a little bit more better. But how do you, was there even an easy way for us to exit, for the U.S. to exit out of Afghanistan? Was there ever going to be an appropriate time? Because in my personal opinion, either, if they would have left 10 years ago or tomorrow, I don't think it would have made a difference, because, their country's leader, they abandoned them. They fled the country, leaving all their citizens behind to fight these group of people that are so hell-bent on fighting or making sure that they imprison women as if they are potentially a threat. So when you're giving someone all the tools, the training, the everything that you thought that you could equip someone, it's like this. If you are trained underneath someone for about 2 weeks, right, at a new job, they may not have shown you everything, but they showed you the linguistics. They showed you the gist of the job. Just enough for you to get started, for you to be on your own. You kind of, that person, whoever was training you, they kind of distance themselves just to see, how you can make it, how you do on your own. And some people, they may need a little bit more help. Others are like, okay, I kind of got this, I can do it. If after I want to say maybe like 2-3 months, if that person doesn't get it necessarily, the supervisor will probably have a discussion and say, hey, if this job is not working out for you, what can I do? Was it the training? Was it something you think you missed? Whatever have you. And they can be able to work that out. But these people, these troops have been there for 20 years. And you did not take advantage of this opportunity to use what you observed. You didn't use any of that knowledge, those skills, or the weapons. You didn't use anything to fight against this group, and now they've taken over. And it only took them one day to take over the Capitol. And it's like, in my opinion, I think it was a waste of time for the troops, because they made sure that they were very diligent about protecting the people that were there, that were trying to just live their lives, be citizens of the country, whatever have you, because they wanted a different vision of, than what they were enslaved to. So I just think that whatever decision was made, whenever the time was to pull out the troops, I don't think that the people were even motivated enough. I'm talking about the people of that country were motivated enough to fight against this terrorist group that they just let take over. So that's my own personal opinion, and we're just going to go ahead and end this segment and Queenness and Queen Not. So I'm going to move on and ask you guys a few questions about toxic relationships. When do you think is an appropriate time to step out of a toxic relationship? Do you see the signs of yourself personally of being in a toxic relationship right now? What would you do? Like, what's the scenario of how you can escape? Because some people, when they're in a toxic relationship or in a toxic family, I know like a lot of women, they may be in a situation where they're actually living with those people. They can't necessarily get out. They don't have the financial needs. They're stuck. So what do? Do you just kind of, make a plan? Which I was that person. I was always in my head. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to be a prisoner to this. I'm going to plan an escape. So I've always been like that. So what do? Do you plan? Do you try to gather what it is that you need in order to, find that route to take? Are you talking to anyone? Are you talking to a counselor? I myself personally, I've talked to a counselor about things that went on, in my life, whether it's childhood or something that happened, 2-3 years ago that I held on to and didn't really let heal properly. Are you praying about it? Are you seeking counsel, from someone outside of your, I wouldn't say your group, your other than the people that you normally hang around with or your own family member? Are you seeking some type of wisdom? Are you trying to get the help that you need? Whether it be emotionally, or just or not physically, God forbid, no. Are you trying to get help to help you get to a place where you can have peace? Whether that be, you have to live by yourself or live with someone that is not a threat, that is not physically harming you. What are you trying to do? Is there someone in your area or an organization in your area that you can go to that, that can provide that type of help? You need people that are going to support you emotionally. whether it be people at your church. And if you feel like you're uncomfortable to talk to people at your church, go. I would encourage someone to go see a counselor. If you feel like you don't have anyone that you can share that safe space with, and just let those feelings out of whatever you're going through, or maybe like every time you talk to someone and they don't really understand what you're going through, I would encourage you to go find a counselor or therapist, because it really helps. There are programs out there that I'm pretty sure that you can find, see if there is something at your church or in your community, or go online, Google, just find some type of help. It's good to pray. There's nothing wrong with praying. There's nothing wrong with giving it to God. And God will probably even direct you to find someone that you can talk to that will help you navigate those feelings and get you to the road of healing that you need, so that way you can move forward. Because no one should have to sit, in that type of environment, or you don't have to sit in your feelings. You just don't want to run into people that say, oh, you're just making it up, or you're exaggerating, or you're just being over dramatic. No, you're not. So go seek some help, pray about it, ask, someone or ask another person that you think is seeing a counselor. Like, hey, you know anyone that I can talk to, I can reach out to, that may be able to help me. You don't have to give them the specific details. Just say, hey, I need someone to talk to, and I'm really trying to get the help that I need. So with that being said, I just want to encourage everyone, every queen out there that is listening. I want to encourage you, keep going. If you're dreaming, don't give up. If you have a vision, stay on it. If God has given you the green light, the yes, that is all you need. You don't need validation from every single body, from everyone. If everyone's telling you no and God is saying yes, go for it. If you are too afraid, you think you don't have enough skills or the money to back up what you're doing, find out, do some research, do whatever you can, and go for it. If you know someone that knows someone that can help you, do that. But reach out and tell someone that may be able to help you. Don't just keep it to yourself, but don't tell everybody. Don't make that mistake by telling everybody, because not everybody is for you. There are people that are against you. There are people that want to keep you stuck and don't want to see you grow. So with that being said, I'm going to end this episode of Queen's Corner Podcast, and I hope you queens have a wonderful and beautiful day.